So students, today we'll discuss fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit. What do we mean by fiscal deficit? Fiscal deficit means FD would be equal to total expenditure. Total expenditure. In short, I'm writing this EXP, please. Minus total receipts. Total receipts. This is equal to fiscal deficit. Or we could say fiscal deficit is equal to when total expenditure is greater than total receipts. So how can we define this? Fiscal deficit refers to the excess of total expenditure over total receipts, excluding borrowings, during the given fiscal year. Total receipts will exclude borrowings or non-debt creating capital receipts. Out of the total receipts, we always exclude borrowing or non-debt creating capital receipts. All these we'll discuss. So fiscal deficit is a kind of shortfall in government's income compared to its expenditure. It means government is spending beyond its means, beyond its sources. Suppose we'll see this with the help of an example. Suppose you took the loan, from bank, any amount for property, okay, for house, for anything, but you are not able to pay to repay the loan. So you are in debt. You are in debt, obviously. So this is your fiscal deficit. Got the point? So this is your fiscal deficit. Or we could say, if your annual income is greater than, if your annual expenditure, in short, again, I'm writing this EXP, is greater than annual income. Suppose your annual income, your annual expenditure is rupees 2 lakh. But your income is only 1 lakh rupees. So you are exceeding your expenditures than your annual income. So this is your fiscal deficit. Okay, so this will be your fiscal deficit. I hope the concept is clear. What do we mean by fiscal deficit? Okay. Now we'll see what are these borrowings on non-debt creating capital receipts. Non-debt, non-debt creating capital receipts capital receipts are the capital receipts or are the receipts, in short I'm writing this only receipts, are the receipts which do not give rise to the debt, which is not increasing your debt. What may be the examples? Like, we'll see some examples of this. Examples like recovery of loans, recovery of loans, and disinvestment. We have already discussed all these in detail, so I won't repeat it again and again here. Disinvestment. Okay. These are the non-debt creating capital receipts. So whenever we have to calculate fiscal deficit, we always exclude the borrowings or non-debt creating capital receipts out of this. So now the question arises, it means, so we can say it means if in the numericals you are not given the fiscal deficit, sorry, if the borrowings have also been given, it means fiscal deficit would be equal to the value of borrowings. It means we could say fiscal deficit is equal to borrowings. Obviously, we could say, because what's the reason for this? Because anything that is to be repaid is a liability and therefore not included in the fiscal deficit. So loan is not included in the fiscal deficit because these are already repaid. Okay. That's why we do not include the borrowings into the total receipts. And these are always excluded from the fiscal deficit. It means we could say that fiscal deficit is equal to the borrowings. Reason, if the total expenditure is greater than total receipts. So to meet this expenditure, government will borrow some amount. Okay. And this amount of loan is being paid annually. This is not possible that within a single year, the government can pay the whole amount of loan, can pay it back. It's not possible. Okay. And fiscal deficit is calculated during a given fiscal year. So that's why borrowings are excluded from the fiscal deficit. So loan is not included in the fiscal deficit. Because this is a liability. Because anything to be repaid is a liability. Is a liability always. And therefore, not included, not included in fiscal deficit. In short, I'm writing this FD. Please bear with me. Therefore, not included in fiscal deficit. I hope the things are clear. What is the fiscal deficit? One question comes here. Sometimes this is a very popular among the people. Either the fiscal deficit is good or bad. Question arises. What can we say? Fiscal deficit. It means fiscal deficit either is good for the economy or bad for the economy. So now we'll discuss this. FD. In short, I'm writing this, please. Is FD fiscal deficit good? Can we say or not? Is fiscal deficit good for the economy or not? So we can say fiscal deficit may be good for the economy, but not always. It depends on the objective of the government. For what purpose the government is borrowing mainly, or why the expenditure of the government are exceeding to the receipts. It depends on the objectives of the government. So when will the fiscal deficit be good for the economy? We'll discuss this now. Yes, it may be, but not always, because depends on the objectives of the government, but not always. Why not always? We'll see this. The reason is a high fiscal deficit, a high fiscal deficit may be good for economy if money goes, if money goes into the creation of, or money is utilized into the creation of productive assets. Money goes for the creation of productive assets in the country. Productive assets in the country. So what are all these productive assets? What do we mean by these? Productive assets are, if suppose government has to construct the highways, the government has to construct the roads, etc., which can boost up the economic growth and it can create the employment also in the economy, or if it generates employment in the country. So productive assets like construct construct roads, construct roads, highways, etc. And all these productive assets are generating to generate employment to also. Employment also, as well as boost up boost up the economic growth. Economic growth